Bud Light, baby. Bud Light is getting absolutely wrecked still. Bud Light sales, it's not just that they dropped in the week after Anheuser-Busch decided to endorse a drag queen or a transvestite or whatever Dylan Mulvaney calls himself. It's not just that they dropped and then they went back up. It's not even just that they dropped and they stayed where they were. They dropped and then they kept dropping and then they kept dropping and then it looked like they kind of had cratered, but no, they kept dropping. They've kept dropping again. Sales revenue plunged 26.8% in the week ending June 10th. According to new data, that is a new low for weekly sales revenue. The previous highest weekly drop for Bud Light was 25.7%, and now 26.8%. So what is Bud Light doing? What is Anheuser-Busch doing? First of all, I think that company owes Alyssa Hirschenfeld, or whatever that VP of marketing was, they owe her an apology because she took the fall for this, but this is obviously a conscious decision by Anheuser-Busch, made at a much higher level than the VP of marketing. So why are they doing it? Why would Bud Light consistently irritate the customers and not just apologize? Because Bud Light has to keep up its ESG score. Anheuser-Busch, ESG, the environmental social governance policies, which is a term that will probably fall out of favor now that conservatives have seized upon it, and they'll replace it with some new woke jargon. But what these scores mean is that left-wing groups will score companies on a whole host of progressive priorities, and then the big asset managers, the big institutional investors that manage tens of trillions of dollars worth of money each, they could pull their money out of the companies. And so you say, well, who cares? Who cares if BlackRock or somebody pulls its money out of AB InBev, Anheuser-Busch? AB InBev is a big company. They're still selling beer. Who cares? Who needs BlackRock's money? Well, what would happen is the stock price would tank. It would show a lack of faith in the company from the biggest players in the market. So the company would just go away. And so you've got a handful of major asset managers, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, and others, who are really pulling the strings here. And they're not answering to their customers, and they're not answering to their constituents if it were a political body, like a government body. They're just doing whatever they want. Now, why would they do this? Another reason that they would be willing to kill Bud Light, the most popular beer in America, is that Bud Light had not been growing. It had not been explosively growing. It was still the dominant number one beer in America, but some of the executives felt that it was stagnating. And you saw this represented by Alyssa Hirschenfeld, the VP of marketing, who said, we needed to do something to jazz up the brand. Why did they have to do that? Well, because the way that modern capitalism works, it's not enough to be the biggest dogs in town. You've got to always be growing. If you're not growing, then you're dying. And this creates a problem because there's no limit to it. There's no limit anywhere. And so what this might be is a controlled demolition of Budweiser, because while AB InBev, Anheuser-Busch might take a hit in the short run, there are so few major beer distributors that in the long run, it probably won't cost them all that much money. The number one beer in America now is Modelo, which is hilarious that it's a Mexican beer that's now the number one beer in America. And Modelo is not owned by Anheuser-Busch in North America. It's owned by Constellation, which also has some woke problems too. But in the rest of the world, Modelo is owned by Anheuser-Busch. And so these conglomerates own so much product, and there are so few of them anyway, that they've just consolidated enough power that, okay, they lose one of their lines, well, they've got a bazillion more lines to fill it up. And the benefit they get from that is they get to advance the social policies that they want. And those social policies, by the way, were down to even more consolidation and even more control and even more money and even more influence for these handful of oligarchs. And so the cost to them is worth it. Right now, go to expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. Let me ask you something. When you use the restroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passersby looking in on you. So why would you let people look in on you when you go online? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the restroom and not closing the door, okay? I love ExpressVPN. I'm a total Luddite, so I barely know how to use any technology, but it's so easy to use, even I can use it. You just download it, one click of a button on your cell phone, on your laptop, on your iPad, on whatever you want. I can say with full confidence ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market. Here's why. Number one, ExpressVPN doesn't log your online activity. They even developed a trusted server technology that makes it impossible for their servers to store any data at all. Number 2, speed. ExpressVPN does not slow down your user experience. You can stream HD videos with zero buffering. Number 3, ExpressVPN is incredibly easy to use. It's that one button, you're done, you're good to go. If you're like me, you believe your online activity is your business, use our link, expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show today. Get 3 months free on a 1-year package. expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show, expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. Speaking of BlackRock, James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas, who's now doing his own thing, OMG, which is the O'Keefe Media Group. It's a fun little initialism there. James has caught a BlackRock recruiter on hidden camera explaining what BlackRock really is from the inside.
Let me tell you, it's not through who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet. So it's
and who's that?
The hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys want campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates. And obviously we have the system in place. First there's the senators, and these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. I can give you 500K right now, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, be done.
Does everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
It doesn't matter who wins.
They're still right.
They're in my pocket at this point. Ukraine is good for business. You know that, right? I'll give an example. Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos. Price of wheat's gonna go mad up. Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market. Prices of bread, literally everything it goes up and down. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity to make profit. War is real good for business.
Great stuff from James. It's nothing we didn't know. There's nothing surprising in this undercover video. Yes, we know people can buy politicians. U.S. senators, I think, cost more than $10,000 to influence, and there are some politicians who can take the money and then they won't take the phone calls, and then sometimes the people who previously backed them will back their opponents or something. I mean, there are some more independent voices, but yeah, it's true. And very often, what politicians will do in their defense is they will seek out donors who share their priorities, so that it's not just that they're being bought off like a cheap hooker or something like that. It's that they are representing multiple kinds of constituents. They're representing their geographic constituents. They're representing interests that they already support. You know, if I make fun of the environmentalist movement, that people who say that global warming is going to kill us all in 5 minutes. I mock some of these new technologies, especially the solar and electric technologies that are very often just payoffs to liberal groups. So I'm pro fossil fuels. I'm pro oil and natural gas. If I were to run for office and I received a campaign donation from oil and natural gas industries, it wouldn't be that they were buying me off. I'm already pro oil and natural gas. They've never written me any campaign check. But it's a nice alignment of values. And sometimes it's a little more corrupt than that. Sometimes it's just a big corporation that says, hey, here's the check, do what I want, give me the legislation that helps me. Okay, yeah, but we already know all that. What about the Ukraine war is good for business? Yeah, we know that. Of course we know that. Dwight Eisenhower warned about that sort of thing a long time ago. There's nothing new here. And this poor schlub recruiter for BlackRock trying to impress some girl on a date doesn't work out well for him. If you are in a politically, I don't know why I'm giving advice to the libs here. If you are in a politically contentious, important position and some smoking hot chick comes up to you and wants to go out on a date and then is just constantly peppering you with questions about the most controversial aspects of your job, it's on you at that point if you answer, okay? The power of women, you'd be so blinded by that, okay. It's not surprising, but it's disturbing anyway, to see it, to hear it. Oh, the political system doesn't work the way that we thought it did. It's not about a bill up on Capitol Hill and the 3 branches and the people representing the this and the that and the other. That's not really how the political order works. And one of the reasons that Trump was very successful in 2016 and why he might be successful again is he called that out in a way that other Republican politicians hadn't. There was an attack on Trump in 2016. Remember, I forget which other Republican it was, probably multiple, said, "Hey, Donald, you've donated to Democrats. You've written checks to Democrats. That's why you can't be trusted." And he flipped it. He said, "What are you talking about? I've written checks to every politician. I bought all you people off. I did business, and I did business in New York and at an international scale. And so, of course, I needed to buy you people off, and it was easy to buy you off. So I played both sides of the aisle. That's how the system really works. So how am I going to fix the system? Because I know it. I've played that game a lot. Meanwhile, you were just the guys that got bought." It was very persuasive. When Trump was able to convince some people who would be traditionally a little more left-wing voters to come on over to him, it's because he was talking about a debate between the many and the few, between the people and the elites. Very different from what we hear otherwise, between the Republicans and the Democrats and the left and the right. You're saying, no, the system is a little different than you think. What a great video that was, huh? Make sure you subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. Ring that bell. We'll see you next time.